Okay, so I'm Diane Cohn, and I'm a bit of a more mature YouTuber, and I've been doing this now for a couple of years, and I absolutely love it. And my background is in web design, real estate. I've been an entrepreneur. I've done a lot of digital marketing, and I've just had kind of this crazy career path. But this is my passion. This is what I do for fun, and it's been a fantastic ride so far.
All right, fantastic. Well, happy to have you on the show to kind of discuss your journey with us. So I think in this conversation we're really going to focus on your experiences with your YouTube channel, right? So the first question I got for you is, what even pulled you to start your own YouTube channel, right? As you mentioned, people in your age bracket don't typically start YouTube channels. So what drew you towards that?
Yeah, so I've been watching YouTube forever. We got rid of cable TV in 2010, pretty much when the kids stopped watching the Disney Channel. And so I've just been, consuming content for all these years. Well, one year I actually, did something kind of crazy with my daughter. She was hiking the PCT and I joined her. This was in 2016. I joined her for a huge chunk of the Sierra Nevada portion of it. It was from Mammoth Lakes to Truckee, California, that we walked. It's about 250 miles with resupplies and stuff. And getting ready for this trip, I watched a lot of other hikers on YouTube. And so I went, it was a great prep. I took pictures, I blogged, typing, but I didn't video. And when I came back, I just thought, I really wish I had filmed that. So 2 years later, I made this plan to actually hike the rest of the 250 miles of the Sierra Nevada that I hadn't done. So that would have been from Kennedy Meadows South to Mammoth Lakes. That way I would have done the spine of the Sierra. That was my vision. So I'm a big backpacker. I love the Sierra Nevada mountains. And so getting ready for that trip, again, I watched a lot of other YouTubers, and there's all these hiking channels. That's the thing about YouTube. There are so many nichey little topics that you can watch. I mean, I watched RV channels. I watched alternate economic channels. I watch permaculture channels. I mean, I just watch all these weird esoteric things, and I love it. And I love that it's just regular, normal people who just pick up a camera and share their experiences. Well, getting back to prepping for my hike, watching these other, PCT hikers do the Sierra was super helpful for me. So I thought, you know what? There's a lot of people, and this is a 30-day trip. Not a lot of people can take 30 days out of their life and go hike along the spine of the Sierra in the height of summer when it's the most beautiful. I mean, even the PCT hikers, they go like in the early summer when it is snowy and kind of miserable, and I would never want to hike it during then. So anyway, so I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to film the whole thing, taking my inspiration from these other YouTubers. So at the time I was living in Puerto Rico with my husband. And so I thought, well, before I go on this trip, I'd better practice and kind of learn what I'm doing, because out on the trail, you're just going to be out on the trail and you can't really, if you mess up, then too bad, right? Because it's so hard to get out there. So I had like this old 1+3T Android cell phone, and I picked up this phone and I just started practicing around Puerto Rico. So I'd do these little day trips and I'd film the whole thing. And I took a lot of inspiration for how it was done on these RV channels that I was watching, because I just love watching them travel to Alaska and travel to Yosemite or wherever. And so I really just basically learned from watching other YouTubers and kind of decided the style of travel video that I like to make. So I love editing. So I like to do a lot of cuts. I like to make it, snappy. I like to put music in it. I just like it to be like this, fun, entertaining thing. So yeah, so I did a bunch of these day trips around Puerto Rico, and that was how I practiced. And yeah, that was a good training ground. And then we ended up, going to the States, and I went on the hike and actually got a new camera for that. And the hike, I didn't do what a lot of PCT hikers do, where they take footage and then they edit it and put it out along the way. I just knew I would not have the bandwidth for that. So I decided to just collect all the footage and do it later. And that worked out better for me. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Oh, that is really cool. I'm not sure what I was expecting to answer that question, but that is a much more interesting answer than I expected. That's cool. All right. Well, you're making me jealous now. I'm here in Colorado, and I like doing small little day hikes and stuff, but it's been years since I've done any backpacking. Um, and there is, day hikes are nice. Like we get to show up, experience the beauty, and then leave. But there is something categorically different about just being there for long stretches of time,
Yeah.
right? It's not just the same experience times 30, right? Because it was 30 days. It's a very different experience. And I haven't had that in a while. So that's cool. Good for you.
You need
um,
to do the Colorado Trail, right? That's the one you need to do.
yeah, like I live right here. What the heck? Maybe that'll be this summer, even just like a couple days at a time to get myself into it. Um, so anyways, so that's what drew you towards it, right? That's what drew you to YouTube. What, if anything, did you feel like held you back from getting started with a YouTube channel?
It's all in here, in my head, in my mindset. I mean, at first, so putting out that first video, it was bad, and I've actually since cut off the front of it. We happened to be traveling in Vancouver for Christmas, and so I put together this little travel video about, I don't know, going on a day trip to Whistler or something like that. I think that was the first one. And I put this long like prologue on it where I talked
Hmm.
about this is my first video and blah, blah, blah. And I tried this and yada, yada. And then it was just like yawn for 2 minutes, right? And then I had the video, and then, so I put it out there. And of course, my channel, I'd had my channel forever. Like I have had it since 2006. I've just never really done much with it. I had 33 subscribers. I didn't even know who they were. But you put it out there and really nothing happens. And then I started kind of looking around at what other YouTubers did, and I'm like, oh, this is stupid. And you do have the ability to make some basic cuts on a video that's already produced. Pretty much when you put a video up, it really needs to be final, because there's very little you can do to it after the fact. And if you take it down, you're going to lose all of the comments and
Right.
views and everything else associated with that video. So, but I did have the opportunity to chop off the huge 2-minute prologue that was completely boring. So I did, and I was able to save it that way. So I think what held me back is judgment. You look at your first video and you're like, oh my God, this is so bad. The camera quality's bad. The sound is bad. I look like a dork. I sound like a dork. I mean, the judgment never stopped. But every other YouTuber I've ever watched, when they talk about their beginnings, they always say that they go through this period. It's awkward. You look stupid. You feel stupid. You just got to get through it. That's what they always said. What they always said. And fortunately for me, I really love the creative process. You can't do this unless you really enjoy trying to create a good story, trying to edit it together into something that's snappy, that has a beginning, middle, and end, that keeps people's attention. So I did another one. It was some light show around, Vancouver, and it was weird because I don't know how much to talk or how much not to talk. And most of the early ones are pretty much music videos. Like, I don't even know if I said that much. And there's all this music in the background, and getting back to your original question, it's here that stops you, and you just have to get over it. You just have to go through that awkward phase, put it out there, and the more you do it, the better you get. And that's really all there is to it. You just keep doing it.
Yeah. So I'm curious here. A lot of people, when they get started with, video production, it feels so great and it feels so right, and they love it right away. For a lot of people, there's a bit of maybe imposter syndrome where they're feeling what they feel is, who am I kidding? I'm not a video person. I'm not a YouTuber. Who am I trying to fool here? This is not me. I'm not acting in alignment with who I am. Which was it more like for you?
So I went through that too. So you put the first few videos out and they're not great, but you're kind of I was proud of them. I mean, even though I'm like bashing them now, I was actually proud of them, except for the one where I cut off the prologue. And I thought they were pretty good. But then I also looked around and thought, oh, they're not as good as so-and-so or so-and-so or so-and-so. And I felt like a poser. Basically, I felt like a kind of like a fake, like a wannabe. I felt like I couldn't even call myself a YouTube creator, because I didn't even feel like I was in that same class of people that have been doing it and they have an audience and they have interaction. I mean, there's a long period where you're just making all these videos and spending hours on each one for nobody, for nothing, And so, yeah, I felt like a fake, honestly. And, you have to have a lot of faith to get through that period. I mean, if you really believe in what you're doing, I mean, you have to kind of feel like what you're doing has value. And for me, I was doing what I thought was, I mean, it's kind of a fluffy channel, really. I mean, it's traveling here and traveling there, and it's not like I'm talking deep issues or psychoanalyzing your whatever, meditate. I mean, it just seemed really fluffy, but it's what I enjoy doing. And so I figured, well, you know what? People do look for entertainment on YouTube, so I can at least provide that. And so it's just this process of just, you bumble along, you try things, they don't always work, there's not a lot of response, you just keep doing it, you just keep finding your way, and you keep watching other YouTubers and engaging with the community to kind of like, you know, to get your inspiration that way.
Do you think you would have stuck with it as long as you have if you didn't enjoy the process of creating and putting videos out?
God, no. Oh, no, no. I mean, no. I mean, when you look at, holy crap, I spent 16 hours putting together this really cool video, and, you know, I've got like 100 views on it, and maybe I made $2. You know,
Yeah.
you don't do it for the money. You don't do it for even the fame, because there's so much nothing for so long unless you get lucky. I mean, some creators do. They, you know, like that girl with the snake in the van. I mean, she's hot. She's got an albino snake. First video she puts out there, 1.4 million views. I mean, yeah, occasionally somebody just strikes pay dirt, and that happens, but it's the exception. You know, I think the top, I don't know, I think the top 20% of channels have, you know, 1,000 or more viewers. I mean, there's just ridiculously many channels that have nothing going on, and you're in that category for a long time unless you really just love it and commit to the process, you know, and upload consistently, basically.
Yeah. I've noticed that theme come up a few times and really experienced it myself too, right? Because you're not going to get any traction in the beginning, right? You're going to have self-doubts, and I don't think most people have the determination to power through if they're literally getting nothing back from it. So my advice to someone thinking of starting a YouTube channel would definitely be find something you can enjoy. Now, some people enjoy the creative process of editing and producing. Personally, I don't. I try to do as little as possible. What I enjoy is capturing people's stories, and I enjoy assembling, you know, valuable information that can help people. Now, the fact that it's hardly helping anybody because hardly anybody's watching it isn't dissuading me, because I am still enjoying the process of capturing stories and creating. So definitely find something that you can find enjoyment in, I guess would be the lesson here.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have to enjoy it, and you have to persevere. And you, like you said, you have to believe that what you're doing is providing some kind of value, even if it's just entertainment.
Yeah, cool. Did you ever, you know, we talk about your own self-negativity, but did you ever experience a lot of negativity from other people from the outside world?
Not really. I'd have to say the outside world probably just didn't really care. You know, I mean, it's interesting. Like my husband, he's very cynical, and he's like, "Why are you spending all this time? Like, why are you doing this?" He's always asking me, "Why are you wasting your time? Why are you doing this? Nobody's watching." I mean, he does support me in his own way, but he's also asking these very practical questions, like, "Why, you know, why do you spend every weekend doing this?" You know, as he's trying to get me to go outside and do something fun, right? But for the most part, I just think people don't care. You know, they're just busy with their own lives and whatever.
So getting started with this channel, you had a lot of fears, a lot of misgivings, right? Some of it, you know, internal, even before you started, and some of it, of course, when you have these videos that you feel, you know, you sound like a dork, look like a dork, etc. So there's a lot of negativity holding you back, but you kind of said the trick is just to do it, right? Any particular advice you can give for someone of how to move forward and take action even when their head's full of negativity and doubt?
Yes, absolutely. Take your phone out, start recording videos, just practice, or whatever camera. It doesn't have to be a fancy camera, whatever you're going to use. Anything that will record you on video, just start doing it. You know, even if it's photo booth on your Mac, just start recording yourself on video. Get used to speaking to the green light or the black hole or whatever, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. Like in the beginning, I remember being outside and, you know, talking to a phone, I felt like an idiot, you know, and I still, if I'm out blogging in public, I still am a little bit like, I do try to look for a spot where people aren't really staring, but but then at some point you're walking on a path and people are walking by and you're talking and it's like, well, this, a lot of people do this now, so whatever, so it just, you have to love the camera. I mean, because when you're speaking to that light, you are speaking, or that hole, you're speaking one-on-one with somebody. People think, oh, I could, millions of people on YouTube, I'm afraid. No, think about how YouTube is consumed. It's one-on-one. It's somebody on their phone watching you most often. It's not usually on the TV in a room full of people, although that can happen, and that's kind of horrifying if you're there when it happens, because you never are prepared for that in terms of makeup and whatever. But yeah, it's a very intimate one-on-one kind of thing, and so you just have to imagine who you're talking to on the other side of that device. And it could be your best friend, it could be your mom, your daughter, or whoever. Just think of somebody friendly, like my Aunt Linda. She's a great supporter. Even she may not comment, because I don't think she knows how to comment on YouTube, but she's such a supporter. And if I just pretend I'm talking to her about an issue, it just makes it flow a little bit better, and you almost forget that you're talking to a device. It's just whatever you can do to go through the motions, to get comfortable, to keep doing it, to keep practicing, get better and better and better, and then it just all becomes much more second nature.
I love that. So record videos, even if you never send them to anyone, just to get comfortable talking to the camera lens, and then picture who you're talking to. Don't picture a room of millions of people, right? Just picture one person and talk to them.
Exactly. And it can be,
Cool.
and it doesn't have to be the same person every time. It can be whatever person is most appropriate for whatever your topic is. Change it up if you want, but yeah, just do it.
Cool. So one of the videos I saw on your YouTube channel, actually, the video that made me think, Diane would be a cool person to interview someday, was the video you posted back in December about your 3 wishes. First off, tell us what those 3 wishes are. Tell us a little bit about that video. But what I want to know is, how did it feel to record and post that video? And then how did it feel after it was posted?
Yeah. So, I've had, I'm going to back up a little bit for that one. I've had a really interesting life. I've done all these fun things, and I'm not Bill Gates, and I'm not Sandra Bullock, and I'm not all these famous, amazing people, but I have lived this great life, and I'm blessed with so many things in so many ways. What do I want to do next? And these 3 wishes of mine, they're, when I look at them, they're just kind of, I mean, you could say they're stupid. I mean, they're not like, I'm not saving the world or creating the vaccine or whatever, but whatever, they're just billions of people on the planet, and they all want to do different things. And this is what I wanted to do. So my kids are grown, they're out of the house, and I just was like, okay, what's next? So I decided that I wanted to get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube, because like I mentioned before, I don't really have a great retirement plan, and this could be one. I want to go on a 6-month round the world cruise, which is crazy expensive and not even advisable now, thanks to COVID-19. So that one might get put on hold. And then I want to give a TED Talk, because I'm actually not a great public speaker, but I don't even know what I talk about, but I just love to do it. It's just something I'd love to find that thing that I can talk about, overcome my fears, and just do it. So then as I started thinking about it, I'm like, well, I'm over 50, not hot, not that talented, not that special. If I ever do get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube, like, that's a story. And if I ever figure out how to like pay for this $180,000 round the world cruise, which is like super expensive, that's a story. So I'm figuring, well, maybe the YouTube could somehow fund my cruise, and then I could do a TED Talk to talk about it. So they all kind of work together.
There we go. There we go. So all it takes is an easy 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and you're there. I mean, come on.
Well,
That's it.
yeah, actually subscribers isn't everything on YouTube that, whatever. And then, so there it is. I put that video out there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it out there, because now people are going to know, and they're going to hold me a little bit more accountable. But that's all part of the process of making any dream come true. So yeah, and I'm still not, I don't actually have hard timelines, which is, not good for goal setting. You got to have hard timelines. So I got to do that part, but it's just the start. It's the beginning. And so, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to do that. I've had trouble focusing on one topic for my channel. everybody says to grow a channel, you really need to find that one topic, and then, you ride the wave on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole thing came about of part of my, what do I do with this channel now? I love the process. I love trying to become a better storyteller, trying to become better in front of the camera, behind the camera, with editing, filming, everything. I love the whole part. What do I do with the channel? And so that's when I thought, well, I could just do these things, and the journey would become that. Is that the best theme for my channel? I don't know. My husband's like, that seems kind of shallow. Like, it's just a number. Like, who cares about that? I'm like, well, yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know. He calls it Diane's variety show at this point, because I'm at that stage where you just keep throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. So,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So how did that feel to do that, though, to put that video out there with these big, audacious goals? I consider myself a very bold, secure person, and that terrifies me. If I were to put out big, bold, audacious goals like that, that statistically speaking, the odds were against me, right? That would be absolutely terrifying. How did you experience that?
Well, I was really nervous to put out that video, and it's very short. And if you're just a normal person watching it, you're probably like, "What's the big deal?" But for me personally, it was hard to put out there because, oh my God, everyone's going to judge my goals. I'm not saving the planet or feeding the whales or whatever. It's just like, and I'm sure some people think, God, those are really shallow goals. But so that was a part of it. Like, what are people going to think? And then I remember pecking at that video for a long time. Like in the editing process, I just kept pecking. And I knew, I'm like, okay, I'm procrastinating now, because it doesn't really need another adjustment. It just needs to hit publish and go out there. But yeah, I was nervous about it. But like I said before, I have learned that if you want to go after something in life, you have to put it out to the universe. And maybe that sounds a little woo-woo, but it has worked for me in my life. Whenever I've wanted to do something crazy, like move to La Tahoe, move to Puerto Rico, move overseas, whatever it is, it all starts with putting it out there. And so what you put out there kind of comes back to you in a way. And look at you, you saw that, and now you're interviewing me. You would have never done that if you hadn't seen that. So that's cool. You just don't know. I just think being older might be part of it, because, I'm over 50. And so my life is, it's half over. And so as you get older, you start to just, I don't know, you just don't have much time left. You become a little more efficient. Like, you know what, if I want to do the thing, I got to do it now, because I could be dead next year. I mean, you just don't know. People my age dropped out of heart attacks. So yeah, I mean, there's just a certain, and you're younger. I'm just saying, you know what? My advice to my younger me, and you being younger, is like, if you want to do something, just do it. Put it out there. Just put it out there and go for it, because the only thing stopping you is here. It's all in here. And so, yeah. And I haven't gotten any horrible backlash from that video. And yeah, there are trolls out there, but whatever. They're kind of fun for a while, the trolls.
All right. One thing that I do want to hear from you, because I know a lot of people will even start YouTube channels, but then not keep up with them. So for you, considering the fact that it isn't bringing you a steady stream of income or business, it's mostly a side project, a hobby project, how are you managing to stay consistent with this YouTube channel amongst all of the other distractions in life?
Yeah, it's really challenging, to be honest with you. When I was doing the 30-day backpack trip, it was almost a little bit easier, because all of the footage was pre-shot. And so I didn't have to worry about shooting the footage. I just had to make sure to edit a video every week. In terms of doing it and having to film it every week, that's a lot harder. I mean, that's really hard. And it's good to have, for me, ideas are not the problem. Like everyone's like, have a content calendar full of ideas. I have this spreadsheet, and there's probably 200 ideas on there. Ideas are not my problem. My problem is picking a direction. Which one should I do? So I tend to go in groups. Like when I got back from the hiking trip and I finished that, I'm like, okay, what do I make this channel about now? Oh, well, I'll make it about living in Tahoe, because we moved back to Tahoe, and that was, it's a great place to live. It's beautiful. There's day hikes everywhere. So I started doing day trips around Tahoe. But the interesting thing is the Tahoe videos never really did as well as the Puerto Rico videos. And even the hiking videos never really did as well as the Puerto Rico videos. So, after doing this for like a year or year and a half, you start to become more aware maybe of all the hours you're spending, and you don't want to do it for nobody and nothing, right? And so after doing the Tahoe, then I went back to Puerto Rico for a little while. But then I realized I don't live there anymore, so it's kind of, I don't know, you can only say so much about it when you don't live there anymore. And so then I was like, okay, you know what, maybe older YouTubers, right? Because they are out there, and there's not a lot of support, but it is actually one of the bigger growing audiences on YouTube is the over 45 crowd. So I thought, okay, well, I'll be one of those how-to YouTube channels,
Yeah.
but for older people, right? And so I did some of those too. And some hit, some miss. It's just, like I said, this is the part where my answers don't become all that great. I am just putting it out there and exploring, and we'll see where it goes, basically.
What would you say is the biggest mental hang up you still face even now?
It's still the self-judgment, that's oh, my camera's not good enough, my light ring isn't good enough, I'm not good enough, I look at other people and I just think, God, they're such amazing speakers, or they're so good with the camera, or how do they turn on that camera and talk for 10 minutes straight and never skip a beat, and boom, they're done. I can't do that. I am so editing dependent. It's sad. I did one talk through video and it was okay, but it's hard. It's a real skill. So it's the whole, I call it the crap talker in my head. That is my biggest hang up. The one that's saying, oh, you can't do it. Oh, you're not hot, young, smart, whatever, and it's just like, shut that thing up. Get it out of there. Just fucking do it. And you have to embrace your own, I don't know, essence I'm a big goofball. I've always been a big goofball. I really just need to embrace that. And I do let it show. Like, I will often do bloopers at the end just because, I don't know, it gets people to watch to the end if they really like you. And B, it's just kind of fun. It shows people that you're, human, not perfect or whatever. So you just have to embrace whoever you are, whether you're the stiffest, most monotone person you are, that may be, but you may have facts spewing out constantly, and that's what people watch you for. People are going to watch you for different reasons, and I think just the more who you are, within the bounds of creating a script and just outline or whatever, not wasting people's time. Like, you really do want to be cognizant of people are really, they don't have much time, or they don't pay attention for very much time at all. Like, you have 10 seconds to get them in the beginning, and if they're not, then they're gone. So you have to be mindful of, okay, I want to deliver value in my 10 minutes or whatever, but be you. That's what I'm saying. Just
Yeah.
be you,
Yeah. All right. Final question here. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who felt restricted or held back by their age, right? This could be too old to be on YouTube. This could also be too old to run a marathon, whatever it is, right? For someone who feels like their age is what's holding them back from achieving something, what advice or encouragement would you have for someone like that?
Age is just an excuse. That's just an excuse. I would kick that argument out the door and just say, okay, why else am I not doing this? I mean, if you just kick that one out the door, then you confront things like, oh, well, I'm afraid, or oh, what will my mom think, or oh, my husband won't like it, or whatever, So age is just an excuse. And I think, there have been 90-year-olds on YouTube that have been popular. Older people have a different perspective. You have more life experience. You have more a depth of things that you can share. If you want to do it, just do it. I would say just do it, and just know that the age thing is an excuse. And there's an audience out there, a very large audience of older people who are giving up their cable TV and going on to YouTube and looking at whatever they're interested in. So I would just say, just do it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Diane. You have a lot of really valuable experiences, and I really appreciate you being, so open about sharing them. I'm sure after listening to this interview, a lot of people are going to go check out your channel. And in particular, to you people watching this and listening to this, I highly recommend checking out that video that we mentioned about, her three goals. What was the title of that video, anyways, so people can find it more easily?
Okay, that wasn't on my prep sheet. What did I call that? I don't know.
It was December. I just watched it before this. It was in December that you posted it.
All I
Well,
can
anyway.
all I can remember is the first thing I said. I said, "This is a video that I'm afraid to make," and I can't remember what I titled it at all.
Yeah,
I'd have to go
yeah.
look.
It won't be too hard to find. Something on her channel from maybe end of December 2019 is
It's
what
a
you're looking
channel
for.
trailer, actually. So if you just go to the channel as a first-time viewer, you will see it. It'll start playing. It's the channel trailer. So
Cool.
that's probably the easiest way to
All
do it.
right.
And I do want to say one more thing. If you are
Yeah.
an older YouTuber and you're thinking of getting on the platform, I do have a nice small Facebook group specifically for older YouTubers where, it's not one of those massive groups where subscribe to me and I'll subscribe to you. It's not like that at all. It's just a great group of people who are doing their channels for all the different reasons, making a go of it, and we all kind of support each other with, a little bit of watch love and comments and all of that. And so if you go into Facebook and I think you just type in, older YouTubers, then you'll probably find the group there.
Perfect. All right, cool. Well, I will find the link to that group, put it in the description here, find a link to your YouTube channel as well, so people can go check that out. Any other ways people could get in contact with you other than that?
Uh, LinkedIn actually is probably a good way, just under my name. LinkedIn's a good place. And,
Cool.
it's probably the best place. My problem is I have so many social media channels to keep track of that yeah. Sometimes I don't see messages for a while and it's like, oh, 6 months ago you tried to contact me. I'm sorry. So, but I do check LinkedIn. So.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, so at the very least, I'll link to the Facebook group and to YouTube. Yeah, search Diane Cohn LinkedIn. You'll
Oh,
find
and
me.
the YouTube comments, actually, that's where I am the most alive all the time. So even before Facebook, I'll be in those comments. So yeah.
All right, there we go. Want to get a hold of Diane? Comment on a YouTube video. You'll get her real fast.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks again for your time.
Thanks, John. Totally appreciate it.